So let me just say that I don't want to be that kind of Eagles fan or even that kind of football fan that looks back at a win and is like, yeah, it wasn't good. Because a win is a win, no matter how it happens, even if you play terribly. I'd say the only time the Eagles won and I thought to myself, this game feels like a loss was I think it was when Dak Prescott got injured and then Andy Dalton got injured and they were starting Ben DiNucci, the Dallas Cowboys were, and the Eagles they played really poorly on offense, and of course they stopped Ben DiNucci because Ben DiNucci was just pathetic. But the Eagles also looked pathetic, and I was just like, this is just horrible. This is just one of the worst games I've ever seen the Eagles play, and honestly, we didn't deserve to win this game. We didn't deserve it, but we did win the game. So I don't want to be one of those Eagles fans who looks back and I'm like, yeah, we didn't deserve to win this, because again, a win is a win. But as somebody who's kind of a perfectionist, I like to look back and I like to kind of say like, there are things that we could have done and there are opportunities that we missed to possibly be better in the future. Now, first things first, I will always remember the last time the Eagles played the Panthers, one of the most embarrassing games I've ever watched, where the Eagles were up 17 to nothing, and I forget who it was. It must have been Jalen Mills celebrating on a kickoff because we just kicked a field goal or scored a touchdown. And the fourth quarter started and we were winning 17 to nothing. This is back when we had Carson. This is the year after we won the Super Bowl. And I remember by the end of the game, we had led up 21 consecutive points. And we had a chance to win the game via a passing touchdown, but we missed the opportunity and we lost. And we let up 21 consecutive points in one of the worst comeback losses that I've ever seen for the Eagles. Possibly the worst. We had a previous one that season against the Tennessee Titans, but that wasn't as bad because the Titans weren't as pathetic as the Panthers were. But we were coming in as the pathetic team, playing against a 3-1 team in the Carolina Panthers, coming off a loss against the Dallas Cowboys. We were obviously coming off of that whooping against the Chiefs where, we only stopped them once and nobody punted. And we were coming into this game against, ironically, a really good defense and an offense that had kind of just picked on three teams that weren't good. I remember the Jets, what was his name? Zach Wilson was getting his first start, and then I think it was the Texans. They didn't have their starting quarterback, so I forgot the other team they played in the middle. But regardless, they were playing on they beat on three bad teams, and they met the Cowboys, who are a formidable team, and then they were playing us, who is kind of another pathetic team, and the game was just the offense was absolutely offensive in this game. And the offense missed a ton of opportunities. For the second consecutive week, we had a touchdown wiped off the board because of an offensive pass interference. Had to kick a field goal instead. So that's terrible. And you look at the situation, you look at the play, and you've seen teams get away with that. But when you're a bad team, you're just not going to get the calls. That's and I'm going to talk about that later on, but you're just not going to get the calls that you really wanted. And again, for the second consecutive week, the head coach, the coaching staff, and the play calling on offense was very pass heavy, with a quarterback, again, who isn't a passing quarterback, who isn't a stereotypical passing quarterback. You don't want Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 40 times a game because he's just not one of those quarterbacks. I think it's Shane Station, who was the former Chargers offensive coordinator with Justin Herbert as a rookie. And you really look at the way that the Chargers play, and the coaching staff is really trying to match that with how the Eagles are playing. But the problem is the fact that they're trying to make Jalen Hurts into Justin Herbert, and they're just two different players. Like, Justin Herbert's the kind of guy who I would trust to pass the ball 40 or 50 times in the game and still win. And they're trying to use Kenneth Gainwell like an Austin Eckler, and while they are similar players, like Gainwell could be a receiver or a running back, really Gainwell is what I expected Donnell Pumphrey to eventually be, but Pumphrey just never had that burst. But they're just two different players. Like, I don't understand why we're not running the ball more. Obviously, the team won the game, but why aren't we setting Miles Sanders up with a downhill blocker like a fullback and just playing power football? I don't understand why that's not happening. And every play is a shotgun play. Almost every play is an RPO. Almost every play is a decision for Jalen Hurts to make a running play or a passing play, and sometimes he's just not making the right decision. Obviously, I've been saying for the past few weeks that when you play under center and you're playing a conventional running game, that play action really works a lot better because you're able to suck in those linebackers and suck in those safeties so that you can make a deep pass to Jalen Reagor, so that you can make a deep pass to Devontae Smith, so that you can make a deep pass to Quez Watkins. And we're just not doing that. We're missing opportunities, huge opportunities. And Jalen Hurts is a little bit reckless with the ball. He is. He made one good deep pass, and the rest he just used his legs once we had all the momentum. Really, hats off needs to go to the defense because whatever kind of speech they got during the week really worked. And I'm not going to go ahead and say that the Panthers are an absolutely pathetic offense, but we made them look like a pathetic offense late in the game. Sure, Chuba Hubbard was making those runs, but the Eagles were able to limit Sam Darnold. And I'm not going to say that Sam Darnold is a world beater. He's not. But he looked uncomfortable back there. Our defensive line was doing the work. The linebackers were playing well. This was one of those games where the first time this season where I really feel like they weren't able to pass on us. And they do have some pretty good receivers. They do have some pretty good players. And really the only touchdown they were able to get was off of a blown coverage. The defense stepped up. Slay got 2 interceptions. Nelson got an interception. And we were able to block a punt, which ended up setting up the win. So really, the offense should be commending and applauding the defense and the special teams for the work they were able to do. Jake Elliott kicked a 58-yard field goal. Like, if you look back 2 or 3 years ago, Jake Elliott isn't able to do that. Right? We were able to go down the field twice, and of course, Hurts missed Quez Watkins running down the field. You can't do that. You absolutely can't do that. And I really feel like if there was more imagination with this play calling on offense, if there was less shotgun and less shotgun play action and more down the field running, we would be a much better offense. But of course, much like the last coaching staff, it's the same thing. It's the absolute same thing.